Ladies and gentlemen, big hairy news.
Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another episode of Big Hairy News. How are you, Chewy?
I'm good. I'm here. Hello.
Hello. I'm just messaging people. Can you carry the ship for a bit?
Oh, okay. What Pat's doing, children, is he's inviting guests on willy-nilly. Just anybody that wants to come on. It's just a free-for-all. I believe you have confirmed that Debbie Noarangapaka's coming on later on tonight.
Yep. And I'm just literally, as we're speaking, messaging with Eru.
I don't know what we're going to talk to her about, but
no, there's nothing much going on. I thought maybe the rugby team for France this weekend. Maybe we talked about that.
Of course, that's not what we're talking about tonight. Many of you have seen it. Obviously, the debate in the House today. The first reading of Seymour's racist little passion project didn't go quite according to plan. And there has been a massive outpouring of support on social media for what happened. So we're going to be looking at some of the videos and discussing it today. I am amped, fizzing, bung holes, most other holes, just amazing to I didn't see it live. I came home from work, I turned on all of my notifications, and everybody was like, Joey, have a look at this. It's the most kick-ass fucking thing I've ever seen. And I agree.
So here's what we'll do. Even though there's been a lot of activity and we're going to look at probably One News and stuff, we don't have like a huge amount kind of planned out to the letter for tonight's show, because we'll just see where we go and we'll see who will turn up. Well, I've got messages coming in right now. I only heard from Debbie like at 8:45 that she said, how's 9:20? So I'm like, cool, let's lock it in. And Eru's just saying Monday would be mean. He's obviously just sat down. He's got a million messages to answer. Literally, he's just come in now. And he said, Monday. I said to him, well, don't worry about us, bro. We're good. We don't want to put you into it. I'm just going to put a love heart on that message. Is that appropriate to a guy? I think it's okay. Monday would be mean. So that means we'll have him on the night of them arriving, the eve of them arriving in Wellington. So that'd be cool. So there you go. That's that sorted out. And I know this has happened and we've got lots to talk about. We've got lots of footage to show you from both 1 and 3. I've also got a few clips from the actual house. But I thought where we might actually start is almost like how the day started. Because over on One News, old mate Kieran, I've got another T-shirt idea for our old mate Simeon. You know, the old kind of, I think it was the 60s program, the Little Rascals. Could you use that font and do Little Simeon with a lollipop? I thought that might be a
big lollipop.
Big lollipop, bigger than his head. So old mate Kieran was with old mate Simeon this morning on breakfast, and even this, I don't have it like queued up to the second, but they were talking about the bill. I'll tell you one thing that kind of ticked me off today is that the New Zealand First members and the National Party members look like complete cucks. They're like, oh, you know, we don't agree with this. This is in the House. We don't agree with this. This is, you know, too simplification of a conversation which has been brewing over 184 years. You know, we don't think this is the way to go forward. Are you voting for it? Yes. I'm like, you know what it felt like? It felt like, you fucking cowards. That's what it felt like. It felt like, you slimy little cowards. Because, you know, I'll show you actually. I put a thing on my Twitter feed today. I'm probably not going to find it. Because you know how we like to help the mainstream media, Chewy. And I put a thing on my Twitter feed today, which says, you know, this is called me searching the internet whilst we're doing a live show, which says, to help our mates out, here we go. It says this.
What website's that you're on?
This is the website formerly known as Twitter. So it says this.
Oh.
Hey, journalists with access, let me help you. Journalist, Mr. Luxon, you agree that the treaty principle bill is divisive, to which he would say yes, because he's already said that. Journalist, then you agree that you yourself are adding to the division by helping this divisive bill go through its first reading. So you are the problem, Mr. Luxon. So no matter how many of your MPs, how many times you say we're not going to support it, we don't believe this is right. Fucking, what's her name? Old mate. I don't know, I'm saying old mate for everybody today. Louise Upston getting up in the house today. Oversimplification is an oversimplification of and then you're voting for it. I'm sorry, you don't get to wash your hands of it. This creates division, doesn't it, Mr. Luxon? Yes. So you're in part causing that division, aren't you, Mr. Luxon? Head explodes. No, I don't agree with that.
Why is it getting 6 months of select committee?
Mm-hmm.
Why? That's also not something that's fucking guaranteed.
Yeah.
So why is he getting it? It's a dead duck. If Luxon is to be believed, it is a dead duck. There is heaps of things that he could have done.
Yep.
Could have allowed a conscience vote rather than a party vote.
Yep.
He could have had a truncated select committee process because it's not going anywhere. So let's not waste time with this.
Yep.
But no, he's allowed Seymour to dog walk him from the coalition negotiations all the way through this year, just stirring up the shit.
Yeah.
And he needs to own it because he's the guy that did the negotiations. He's the deal maker. This is the deal that he made.
So the deal that he made, as you're saying, Chewy, is divisive and is going to cause division. So the deal that Luxon inked and agreed to is causing division. So therefore Luxon is involved, as is Winston, in causing division in this country, even though today they got up in the House and went, we don't like this and we're not going to support it and we don't think this is the way forward. It was like, you absolute cowards. You David Seymour cucks and you cowards. I got kind of furious because it's just like, and what Chloe did, I forget the term she used, but you're able to call for something like a personal vote or an individual vote. Personal vote. Mm-hmm. And she was looking to call for it. And she challenged the hell out of the National Party in particular and basically said in a much more polite way what I just said: you bunch of cucks, do the right thing. Anyway, we'll get to more of that as we're going through. But I want to have a listen to the conversation from this morning. I've heard most of it. I've heard all of it. About Kieran and Simeon. And Simeon goes down the path of, why is Labour always talking about this thing? There's more important things to talk about, as it's the biggest topic in New Zealand at the moment amongst everybody. Let's have a listen, shall we?
Simeon, I'm going to start with you. Has this been a waste of time?
Yes. Finished. Next
No,
question.
not at all. This is part of our coalition agreement with the ACT Party at the last election. We agreed to support this bill.
Not an answer.
It's a government bill. We cannot accept this answer. It might be a part of a coalition agreement, but it's a government bill. You own it. This is not an ACT bill that National is supporting. This is a government bill. Sorry, my dude, you don't get to palm it off. Sorry, Mr. Luxon, you don't get to palm it off. You own this.
To its first reading. But look, we're very clear the National Party's position is different from the ACT Party's position. We campaigned not to support this bill during the election, but we had to negotiate a coalition agreement. What we have done, though, is we've rebalanced the issues that New Zealanders were getting concerned about during last year's election. We've stopped co-governance in the public services. We've repealed Labour's co-government 3 waters.
So what he's saying is we were sort of semi-racist, semi-racially energised in these areas, co-governance and the Māori Health Authority, but we're not prepared to quite go as far as Mr. Seymour wants to go. But we can be racially insensitive and put the knee on the neck of Māori in these areas, but David Seymour kind of wants to put both knees and both elbows at the same time. We're not quite prepared to do that. So we want to distance ourselves from that whilst we've still put our knee on the neck of Māori on other policies. Yeah, it's a good defence. I was going to say we're Hitler. Everyone's talking about you. Don't call them Hitler. So whatever. We're I don't know. We're short. He's just half as short again. I can't think of an example. We're bad. He's just worse. We're the skinniest kids at fat camp. That's what he's basically saying. I was like, here we go. Sorry, I'm ranting already, Chewy. Do you want to say anything? We'll just keep playing.
No, let's let the wee fellow with the eyebrows continue.
Because it's probably past his bedtime.
We're sorting out those issues which were concerning New Zealanders, which the last government were going down the track of that division that they were pushing. But however, we're not going to be pushing. We're not going to be supporting this bill past first reading.
Can you get the balls on these guys? How Labour
I can't,
was supporting
no balls. No balls.
Labour was supporting divisive policies. You have to almost admire the gumption from someone who is supporting this most divisive bill we've probably seen since 1981, since the Springbok tour, and they're going, oh, but how divisive were Labour? You know, they wanted Māori to have their own health authority, and they're divisive, and we got rid of the divisive stuff, and we hate this thing too. It's like, come on, my dude, just get a better haircut and get on with life.
Because we don't think that's the right approach to dealing with these very complex issues.
Kieran, come on in.
That's the line.
We're not going to be pushing. We're not going to be.
That's the line. That they're very complex issues. They all using that. That's the being pushed through by probably PED PR, one of the PR companies to these guys. They talk about this being a very complex issue, and this is an oversimplification of it. That's how they're getting around it with Seymour.
Supporting this bill past first reading because we don't think that's the right approach to dealing with these very complex issues.
Kieran, come on in. This has got to be a waste of time, right?
Well, the question was it a waste of time? And he said, no, not at all, and then proceeded to explain that it's not going to go past first reading, which seems to me like a massive waste of time. And well, why the hell are we doing it? And the answer to that
Good lad.
is because Christopher Luxon isn't as good as a negotiator as he made out. Ooh. And he agreed to something that has actually turned out to be incredibly controversial. They're running away from it as far as they can. But the truth is, they can't actually run away with it because it all boils down to the fact that the National Party agreed to this.
Yes.
The coalition agreement.
I think Kieran's been listening to us. He's getting some picking up some talking
Friend
points.
of the show.
Friend of the show. Old leader Kieran.
Says that this bill will go to select committee. What it doesn't say is that it will go through a full select committee process, so they could have sorted that out. They could have also got the select committee to send it straight back to the House and got rid of it. But best of all, they could have just not agreed to this in the first place.
Yep.
And so I don't think that many New Zealanders believe the National Party when they say, don't you worry, we don't support this, we have to do this. Rubbish. They didn't have to agree to it, and now we've got to go through all this for no reason.
So, I mean, Kieran makes...
Well, that would be the definition. There is the dictionary definition of a waste of time, going through all this for no reason. That's actually that's the clinical definition of a waste of time.
Went through a
I mean, that's how the viewers are looking at it.
We went through as I said earlier, we went through a coalition negotiation last year. As New Zealanders know, it was a challenging negotiation. We didn't get everything.
Where Seymour got everything he wanted, basically, and Peter's got everything he wanted. They keep saying Seymour didn't get what he wanted because he wanted this to go to... No. I think that what Seymour wanted at the least was this to put into the public square to then be spun off next year and the year after and the year after. I think Seymour's got exactly what he wants from this. No, Seymour's smart enough to know he would never have gotten this through. So in other words, he negotiated exactly what he wants and he got it. And Baldylocks actually didn't. So this is not a lose-lose. This is a win for ACT, lose. You know how Luxon said the other day, oh yeah, it's a lose-lose. And it's like, well, what a terrible kind of negotiation. No, ACT has won in this.
This is going to play amazingly with ACT's base and the people to the extreme right of national voters that don't think National go hard enough. Yeah. And next time round, maybe their vote will switch to ACT. And that is what they like. The next step for ACT is to eclipse the Green Party, get 20%, whatever. That's what they're doing. They're growing their own share. They don't want to be a minor party. They don't want to be a party of 8%. They want to be more. So this is going to play amazingly with them. Look at what we made the bigger party do.
Yep.
We made them be more racist, just like you asked us to do.
And
they haven't seen that.
Yeah, and they won't. And come the next election, there's already a narrative amongst some sectors of the media about how Luxon is soft and Luxon is not taking the democratic process. And all those people who believing that from what's being said in the media at the moment are then going to be primed for Prime Minister didn't do what we wanted to, come to ACT next time round. They're just being primed for it. And that's exactly what Seymour would have wanted. So we got exactly what he wanted.
thing we wanted. David Seymour didn't get everything he wanted.
Yeah.
But what the National Government and National Party did push for was a rebalancing of some of those issues the last government were pushing around co-governance. We have fixed those issues. This is a proposal put forward by the ACT Party. We agreed to put it to a select committee. It is not going any
It's a government bill.
further beyond that, full stop.
It's not going any further beyond that, full stop. Again, definition of a waste of time.
Before
But
the
Simeon,
election,
the King's Council have come
the
in
National
and
Party-
are the latest to criticise the bill, Simeon.
Yeah, look,
Should David Seymour be
there's lots of people.
reconsidering his
There's lots of
position?
people. No, look, there's lots of people out there with lots of views in New Zealand around these.
Yeah, that's actually not true. There's not lots of people with lots of different views. There's basically some people with two different views. There is a small sector with one view, and there is a large percentage of the population with a different view. So there's not lots of people with lots of this of different views, Mr. Brown. I'm sorry, you're wrong with that.
People. No, look, there's lots of people out there with lots of views in New Zealand around these issues, and that's part of a democracy. This will go to a select committee. Those people will be able to have their say, but ultimately the National Party has said we're not supporting this any further beyond that. And as the Prime Minister says, if it is going to go into law, that's going to require the Labour Party to actually get it into law. We're not supporting it into law. That'll require them to do so.
they think that's such a clever line, they keep saying
Have
it.
you got that? So basically, Luxon's little line is, well, because we're not supporting it, if this would be like law, Labour would have to support it. So he's trying to actually fob off a multiverse where Labour supports this as his out. It's utterly ridiculous.
Not supporting it into law. That'll require them to do so.
They think that's such a clever line, they keep saying it. But I mean, for God's sake, how pathetic can you get? At the end of the day, they agreed to this. They went into the election campaign promising New Zealanders that this wouldn't see the light of day.
Yep.
And then for the sake of forming a coalition agreement, they agreed to it. That is a broken promise right from the get-go. And now they're trying all these cute lines to try and justify it, but they can't justify it. This didn't need to be the case. They've broken a promise, and now they should front up. I think it's pretty disgraceful, frankly, that they have manufactured this to have its first reading on a day that the Prime Minister isn't there. I've got no criticisms of the Prime Minister not being there on a Thursday. They never are. But it's deliberately put there on a day that he isn't there. He's run away like a kid that's just been told off.
Oh, come on, that's ridiculous.
Is it really?
That is ridiculous.
So you've got the PM there.
He's heading
who's
to.
saying, oh, no, don't worry, we're not going to support it. It's all good. We'll front up and tell people that. Or he has avoided questions throughout.
He has been answering questions
and you try that
every
little
single
line,
day.
the only way it's going to survive is if the Labor Party does it. I mean, come on. I mean, how stupid do you think people are?
Well,
this is Chris Luxon's fault. He should front up and face the music.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Ultimately,
Really?
the Labor Party's been spending every single question time asking questions about this, rather than actually asking questions about the issues that Kiwis are focused on, which is the economy, reducing crime, restoring law and order, making sure our children are at school. Those are the issues that New Zealanders wake up about and care about every single day. Labor's been spending their question times talking about this, and the Prime Minister's been answering those
Simeon,
questions.
I'm
He's
glad
not
you
been
touched
hiding
on
from
that.
this at all.
I'm glad you touched.
That's it. And they go into another conversation. That's the end of it. But, you know, it's an interesting tactic to try and say Labor would have to support this for it to go through. And this idea that they are running away from it. You just, please, people watching, people who hate us and we're watching, just be honest. Just be honest. This is there because Luxon allowed it to be there. You know, we don't have to go any further. Just be honest about it. Sorry, Cherry, go.
Yeah, look, we talked about Luxon sneaking off early.
Yep.
Didn't want to hear from the abuse and state care people. Ducked out. Didn't see the point in leadership there.
Yep.
Has it fronted? Yes. Look, he's fucked off to Peru, which is hilarious because Peru's just like if you had to get out of town, why not Peru?
Yeah.
Like of all places. Hey, look, he is going for an international APEC conference. It's a legitimate thing, sure.
But he could have gone this evening. He could have flown out this evening. Yeah.
Optics.
Yeah.
Political capital. These are things that Luxon is blind to. He's seen an opportunity to duck, and I believe he has. I believe that there would have been other options. There would have been moments to front to it. He does not want any of this to stick to him. And he will duck, dive, dodge, dip, and duck to make sure that his fingerprints aren't on this. And I will not let that happen.
Is it because he's a dick? I was just thinking of another D word there. It's like, does that work?
It does.
And
I could edit it in, so I add Dick on the end.
Hang on, you add Dick on
just
the end?
because I had it queued up. Okay,
Right.
I had it queued up to do it. It's just too funny.
Yeah.
It's like, let's play a game of Where's Luxo.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Cool.
not there.
All right.
It oh no,
No.
it's not there.
No.
Oh,
Is he there?
He's over here.
Oh, okay.
He's here somewhere.
Oh, yep.
I
Yep.
think
Yeah.
that's not Wellington, and it's
No.
not near the responsibility for him negotiating a shit deal, because he's a shit negotiator and a shit leader that got dog walked by a 1-2 combo of Winston and Seymour, and he wanted to be prime minister, and he was negotiating with those two and a clock, and he wanted to be prime minister, and that was the end game, because there's a knighthood at the end of that for him, and it'll get him into some sort of country club, whatever. That's the game. It's not to be good for New Zealand. It's to build a personal legacy. And he has bought this division. He has upended race relations in this country and put it back 20 to 30 years because he wants a knighthood.
I just thought though, Chewy, he should have filmed himself in the chamber asking questions and responding to questions. Because the last time he was overseas, he had a little video that said he was in Rotorua. Remember at the Kiwi, having Kiwi friends. So why didn't he just film it?
Onto it?
Why didn't he just film himself like 3 or 4 days ago answering questions in the house, and then claim he was in the house? Because he's got form for that, doesn't he? Oh, Te Puke. Sorry, he's in Te Puke at the Kiwi fruit growers. I'm in the Kiwi fruit growers today while he was in Hawaii at his apartment, which I'm sure is docked next to John Key's apartment.
Oh, he is so bad at this. Like we say, well, I say it all the time, but it's just every now and then you don't say it for a little while and you forget about it. And then he does something to bring it crashing home how bad he is at this.
You might have seen my facial expression there. I just read Gary's message in the chat.
Yes.
I was in the gallery for the haka, and I'm still buzzing from it.
Jealous.
Yeah.
I have a jealous.
I was going to say, there's only been one other time that I can remember being kind of that moved from what was happening in the house. And I was watching live the night that same-sex marriage was passed into law. And the whole chamber, I think, broke into Poor Karikariana. I think that was the song they started singing. And it was like, oh, I'm not crying, you're crying. No, I'm not crying, you're crying. Something in my eye. And it was the second time I can remember kind of feeling that way. Yeah, jealous, Gary. Kiwi Bird, National and New Zealand First are the party of CUCKS. Yeah. Paula says, it's a weird juncture. I'm so angry, yet so very awesomely proud. Willie Jackson refusing to withdraw and apologise, calling David Seymour a liar, was one of the most honest things in the house today. I've got that as a 90-second clip. We might watch that shortly. We're kind of working around because Deb said she'd be here 9:20ish, so we won't go into another full long video in case she pops up quickly. But we'll stick with you. Error 404, balls not found, says Ella, which is very good. Very good.
Nikki, no boats, and Simeon, no balls.
What would that picture look like? Maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Chewy, can you ask Debbie if Hana invoking the haka was a deliberate message to the government from the kingitanga? I also want to know, was it planned? It's one of the things I want to know. Was it like, we're going to do this? Because, I mean, truth.
Did anybody outside of the Te Pāti Māori know that it was coming? Because
plenty joined in.
A lot of people sprung to their feet.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
And if it was, awesome. And if it wasn't, also awesome.
Kiwi Bird says Luxon has a spine made out of used tissues. Probably the tissues that he used to sell with his deodorant, perhaps, maybe.
Stolen.
David says, This is a theme in the chat, obviously. Luxon has a spine made of moist nappies, was the next one. Okay. Kotu kutoku. Kotu kutoku. Kotu tuku. Kotu kutoku. Kotu kutoku. There we go. Phonetics. Like flag ref, but not fun.
Referendum.
Racist.
Flag referendum.
Like the flag. A sports ball. In American football, you have a referee who throws a flag, and so my brain went straight there, like, okay, like I'm throwing a flag, ref. This is bad behavior. I'm gotcha. I'm with you now. Like the flag referendum, but not fun, racist and undemocratic. And Wooming says Luxon wasn't there when this toxic bill was introduced, and wasn't there at the first debate today. He has not fronted. He is the biggest coward. Yeah, that word cowardly, man. Oh, thank you all for your super chats, by the way. That's lovely. That word cowardly, it just kept coming back. You're coward. What a cowardly way to act. You know, like, it's just, I think, as often happens, Chloe nailed them by basically saying, you know, we've been saying this is the result of Luxon wanting power at any cost. And I think that term was actually used, something very similar to that. Like, are you going to, govern at any cost, or are you going to do the right thing? It was a great challenge, and of course, none of them then did it. They all went, "Oh, we don't like this; it's bad. We don't like this; it's bad." Yeah, and now we're voting for it. It's like, yeah, the definition of cowardness.
Do you know what I would like someone to question him on? His victory speech on election night.
Yeah.
One of the first things that he said was that I am going to lead a government for all New Zealanders.
Right.
Now, obviously, a very pat statement, that sort of thing. But what's your word worth?
Yeah.
Luxon?
Yeah.
Because by any measure, you are not leading a government for all New Zealanders. You're punching down on more than 20% of us.
Yeah. Yeah, million people in the country right now, and apparently a million outside as well. 2 million Māori. They always talk about this. Oh, there are a million New Zealanders or a million Māori outside. Anyway, I could be wrong there. Another quick super chat here. We should call him Cuxon. Christopher Cuxon from Silly Loss. Silly Loss. Thank you for your super chat. Let's have a look at this Willie Jackson conversation. I've when we watch, One News or Stuff Tonight, we're gonna have a look at some of those articles. You'll get some of these abridged highlights, but this is one of the ones that I wanted to show you in a bit more length. So this is the 90 seconds leading up. Well, it's probably 60 seconds leading up, and then 30 seconds of being booted out. Willie Jackson in the House today. Do you know what I found funny about this? Like the umbrage or the offence that old mate Brownlee seemed to take. Like, are you seriously not going to apologise? I wanted Willie Jackson to go up and go, I withdraw and apologise, D's nuts, you fucking prick.
I double dog dare you. Come down here and fight me. just like, are you going to use unparliamentary language? Yes, and I've got more. Like, if you're going to get out, if you're going to get thrown out, get thrown out.
Yeah. All right, let's play this, shall we? Enjoy, people.
Mr. Speaker, this minister has purposely allowed misinformation to replace the true nature of the relationship from the Māori chiefs and Crown, and sold their criticism as equality. He is not standing up for democracy. He is using and abusing democracy against my people, against your people. How dare you, David Seymour? Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was on a hikoi. I was so proud to be on that hikoi with our political colleagues, Māori Party, Green Party, wonderful. Asians, Māori, Pacifica were all there. They gave me a clear message, Mr. Speaker, and I agreed to give that message here today. This is to you, David Seymour. You fuel hatred and misinformation in this country. You bring out the worst in New Zealanders. You should be ashamed of yourself, and you are a liar.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
It's all right. I'm about to rule.
Okay.
Withdraw and apologise for that last statement.
No, I can't do that.
Willie Jackson,
It was very soft, but he said, I can't do that.
I'm asking you to withdraw and apologise for your last statement. And Willie Jackson, are you not going to withdraw for saying something so blatantly unparliamentary as that?
Oh, this is the other thing, unparliamentary. These people are offended. You don't break the rule whilst they're trying to basically set up a new system that eliminates a sector of our founding document, how we interpret it, how the courts read it, and they're offended by the fucking word liar. I was thinking about, I know it's a really silly reference. I was thinking about that Jim Carrey movie today, Liar, Liar. And at the very end, he goes, I hold myself in contempt as a part of the thing. And I just think, all these guys, like, this is unparliamentary. What is okay within Parliament is, again, putting your knee on the neck of mouth. That's okay. That's acceptable. But the word liar, it's unparliamentary and unacceptable. It's fascinating, these rules. It's like this, okay, stupid little tangent here. It's like this, right? I used to play a lot of golf, and I've got rugby players' legs, and I went to a golf course once, and one of their stupid rules was you have to wear knee socks. And I didn't have knee socks on, I had sports socks on. And so they made me buy like a $20 pair of knee socks from the fucking pro shop, and I pulled them on, and they came up just above my ankles. But I was then okay to do it because the rule said you have to wear knee socks. And so even though these came, like, let's say, to the bottom of my calf, they're now knee socks because it says it on the container, you can now play golf. It feels like that. These stupid rules they've got. And they're like going, this is an inappropriate thing to say. But what is appropriate to say in Parliament is all these things to take away original meaning from our founding document. They're not inappropriate to say in Parliament, but the word liar is. Anyway, I'm just going to play to the end of this, Chewy. You can come back when I'm finished. I'll shut up at the end and you can go then.
It doesn't matter who it came from. You used the term in the House. You made the accusation in the House. Withdraw and apologise.
No.
All right, then I'm going to have to ask the member to withdraw himself from the House for the rest of the afternoon.
Time out.
I want to know who's clapping. Are they clapping for Willie or are they clapping for Jerry Brownlee? I assume for Willie.
Yeah. Apologise and withdraw D's nuts. That's where we should have seen. Chewy,
Yeah, look,
I've talked too much. You go.
I've had a couple of discussions about this, both about what Willie has done here and about Te Pāti Māori's actions, which we're going to see in a little bit. And I literally had someone posting a screenshot of the parliamentary rules to me as going, well, you know, if you can't follow the rules, then what's the point? Why are you there? And I don't know, that really spiked me something wicked. Like, for what Willie did there, like, if someone can go into the House, have the protection of parliamentary privilege and say whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody's allowed to turn around and go,
yep, libel
that
people.
is lies.
Yeah.
He is lying.
Mm.
And it just seems to be like the background before that rule is that everybody in the House is so honourable that they would never tell a lie. And so we can't have people being accused of being liars and telling lies because they'd never do it. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And especially in this most egregious attempt at just wholesale breaching the principles that hold up the treaty. Like, why is a little bit of rule breaking over actually pointing out some truth the big issue? I saw the person that quoted me the parliamentary manual as well was also talking about how Te Pāti Māori can't raise a point of order unless they're in their seats or something like this. And I was like, but this is the thing. The whole thing with Parliament is that it's a Westminster style Parliament that we copy pasted from England because of colonialism.
Yeah.
We're following the rules that they set. Mm. Are we in England? Are we in Westminster? No, we're not.
Sure. No, we're not.
The actions that happened in the House today could only be from this country.
100%.
And we like blending traditions and that sort of thing. Like it's cool, like a little bit of England and a little bit of Māori and that sort of thing. It's good. So why do we have these rules? Why does the reaction against an assault on one culture in this country provoke such an outpouring as a spontaneous haka, which we're all going to enjoy very shortly? Enough to shut down Parliament, rather than it being part of the debate, part of the oratory process, that sort of thing, because it doesn't fit in a Westminster style, British style Parliament. Now, I saw another, coincidentally, last week. I'll find the clip because it's really good. It's from the Irish Parliament, where a member in their house turned to an opposition member, his opponent, and started swearing at him, told him to fuck off or something like that. And the speaker just almost fell out of his chair. It was so unparliamentary. Withdraw and retract and all of this sort of stuff. And the person said, I will when I'm finished. This fucker. It was the most amazing piece of parliamentary video I've ever seen.
I sometimes get lost in these conversations. This is a very serious conversation. But when someone suggests in the chat that we could do a Jerry Brownlee t-shirt and use this guy as the basis for... It's like...
That's bad.
That's bad. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, eh? I remember, and you guys all know that I've been in and around churches for quite a long time. There was this thing that people used to say, like back in the 2000s, and they'd be like... they'd get up the front and they'd go, every 30 seconds, a child starves to death. So since I've been talking, 2 children have died, and no one here gives a shit. And then they'd say to the church audience, and right now you're more concerned that I just used the word shit than the information that I just gave you about children dying. It's kind of the same. It's like in a certain place, in a certain sector, those sorts of words can be really meaningful. And so like I said, Willie Jackson, could have gone harder afterwards, but everyone's pretty proud of him. I think he's done pretty well. I like that. Look at Daniel. Daniel's the funniest. The fat can't troller. There you go. That's not bad.
The reason that David Seymour got called a liar in the House today is because he's been lying for months.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing. Every voice break, every soundbite that he gets to talk about this racist little passion project of his, he has lied. And he's lied many times, but the lie that keeps getting repeated is that the treaty was an agreement between 2 races.
Races, yeah.
Which it absolutely not. It isn't. And Seymour is a smart enough guy to fucking know that. So he's not a dumbass. I think he's a dweeb. I think he's someone that was desperately in need of more bullying when he was younger. I want to steal his lunch money at every opportunity I can. But he's not a dumbass.
Yeah.
So he's doing this on purpose, and that would be being a liar.
Yeah.
And that is why I will never make it into Parliament, or if I do, it will be for short periods of time.
With lots of timeouts. Let's have a look. It was real hard watching the footage this afternoon to bring, I could be playing 50 clips, all a minute each, and I don't have a clip that, if Debbie just get a chance to meet us, we can ask her about that you were talking about, that Aowari said today. I don't have that. But as I was watching, I heard Chloe talk about kind of give an abridged history of what New Zealand is. And it's this, she didn't say this, but it's like this idea that, do we really believe that whatever the number was, 2,000 English men and women, that 150,000 Māori would go, oh, okay, you're in charge now. Do we really believe that? She didn't say that, but she kind of gave an abridged history of New Zealand, and I thought it was a really interesting bit to listen to. It's only 90 seconds. Let's have a listen.
Mr. Speaker, when Te Tiriti was signed, Māori outnumbered Pākehā 40-1. Can you imagine A small group of people coming to this country, signing an agreement to look after themselves in orderly cohabitation, then instead taking our land and our language. Well, that is the abridged history of Aotearoa New Zealand. That is what the British Crown did in establishing this Parliament and its institutions. The legacy of that violent oppression, theft and colonisation and the breach of Te Tiriti o Waitangi is represented in today's deeply unequal and unfair statistics. In people's lives, Mr. Speaker, Pākehā mā, Tauiwi mā, we have been told for almost all of our lives that Māori sovereignty is something to be afraid of. Who has been telling you that? Who benefits and who pays the price? The discomfort that you feel, that I once felt, is an invitation to listen, to learn, to understand, and to honour. Te Tiriti o Waitangi is a gift. It is a blueprint of an Aotearoa that respects people and planet. It is the antidote to the exhaustion and the disenfranchisement that I know profoundly is felt in communities across this country right now.
You know, and like people are, you know, like you're saying, we could have just played her whole speech. What I'm not going to do tonight, just so people know, I'm not playing any of the stuff from National or ACT, or because they're just cucks. They really are cowards and cucks, and we don't really have a limited time, but we sort of do, and I don't want to particularly waste any of it looking at those losers because we know they're losers. Chewy, anything on Chloe's speech?
Yeah, I actually do have a few notes and criticisms of what. Oh no, I don't. There's no notes. I have no notes. Look, what Chloe was articulating there is exactly why I am very much for Te Tiriti and a growing understanding in the general populace of what that means and why we shouldn't be afraid of it and why it should be central to everything we do in this country. Because without it, modern New Zealand doesn't exist. Without it, our history would have involved a bloodbath one way or another.
Well, she also said in her speech was the treaty is actually why we're here. It was an invitation for settlers to come. So actually, everyone talks about the treaty being this Maori thing and helping Maori. It's like that's the 40 to 1. Okay, so that's what 400,000 to 1,000. Is that 40 to 1? No, it'd be 40,000 to 1,000. So let's say it's 4,000 to 160,000. There you go. Do you really think even with their muskets, 4,000 people would last against 160,000 Maori warriors?
And let's frame another point. And I saw this mentioned in the chat. I didn't catch who did it, but it's a very good point. Those settlers were at the very, very end of a very fragile supply line.
Yes.
Right? So that's it. New Zealand colony gets wiped out. Well, you better come back with the rest of the Navy and the British Army. And it would have been a bloodbath.
Yeah, and also, Māori looked after the early settlers. Māori caught the fish, fed them, looked after them, taught them how to taught them how to work these lands. And this is where we're at today.
This is the thing. This is why I keep on saying what is good for Māori is good for all of us.
Yeah.
And it's why these things, why the whole thing is important. David Seymour and his crew, they want us to look at the treaty like a historical document whose time is gone.
Yeah.
That's why they want this is the whole thing. They know they're not going to get it through a second reading. They're going to drag this out in the media, in the public discourse on it as long as they possibly can. As long as Luxon, weak, ineffectual Luxon, will let him get away with it. And the goal is to get to a citizens-initiated referendum because apparently we need to democratize an agreement
and race relations
between iwi and hapu and the Crown. Apparently we all need a say in this. And as I've always said, you can't put race relations to a referendum because it's not equal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've just got to go, we don't need to put this to a referendum. Do we have a referendum on wheelchair ramps? No, we just all went that's probably a good idea. That people in wheelchairs should have ramps. We don't need to have a referendum on shit that's obvious. And it's obvious to me, and it's obvious to a lot of other people that have grown up with a better knowledge of the treaty and of New Zealand history than David Seymour apparently has. And that's the thing. He's losing the generational battle.
Yeah. Hey,
he knows that the moment for this is going.
We've been showing you, I don't want to talk about Trump tonight. I mean, there's lots going on with him sort of appointing fucking Matt Gaetz to be the head lawyer. Matt Gaetz, who's
a sex offender.
Yeah, sex offender. Alleged sex offender. Who was about to be outed by a council, by the House. We're about to out him. And so the reason he's resigned his position immediately is so they can't release it. And he's going to be Attorney General, a lawyer who is believed by many in his own party to have had sex with underage girls. That's who Trump's... So, but what I was going to say is the parallel you can see is all those people that we've already showed you, and it goes on every single day, that are showing regret for their vote. Now, what Seymour was trying to do is front load that. He's trying just to get the division out there, the conversation out there, and sell people on the meme or on the headline or on the bullet point that they don't think any further, that when it comes time to do a vote, whether that means the next election for a party or a referendum, people vote the way that Seymour wants them to. And then afterwards they go, oh, what do you mean? I didn't know that was the case. Like a low information group of people, I'm not calling them dumb, but being people who are being sucked in, low information, are then going to support this unquestionably. And then after something goes through, they realize, oh, my grandchild is part Māori, and actually, you know what I mean? That I can see something like that happening, coming up and coming along. So, should we get to the haka?
We absolutely should.
Okay, well, what I wanted to do, because much like the news will show you a clip, I've got the whole thing, and this is 2.5 minutes, and it is the actual reading of the voting in the bill, and then it goes into the haka, and this is
gold. If you have not seen it,
yeah,
grab a seat.
I'm not crying, by the way.
Don't grab a seat. Get it out of your chair. One of them.
I'm not. You are. Here we go.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. No. The ayes have it.
Do they?
We're in the middle of a vote. Yeah. We're in the middle of a vote.
Mr. Speaker, I called it a personal vote.
No, sit down. We're in the middle of a vote. The ayes have it. First, a party vote's been called for.
Mr. Speaker.
A party vote has been called for. There's a process here.
New Zealand National.
49 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party of Aotearoa New Zealand.
15 votes opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
11 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
8 votes in favour.
Te Pāti Māori.
I just want to say, and I know we all know this, 21 years old. 21. Now, love her or hate her, like her politics or not, whatever, 21 years old and controls the whole house. 21. It's amazing. This young lady, this young woman, has got the world at her feet. She will be able to do and be anything she wants, whether it's within Parliament or outside of it. 21 years old.
E ono ngā pōti e whakahe.
Hawana! Whakakamanu whiriti a koe au! Kamate, kamate,
The House is suspended until the ringing of the bells. The gallery is to be cleared.
And then it finally cuts off. But you know, and yeah, I know there was another version of it from Stuff. I've actually got some of the news stories queued up as well that we can get to, because that's the parliamentary one. There's no one's going to complain about copyright strikes or anything for that. So that's what I grabbed to put on YouTube and stuff as well. I've got
a few favourite parts.
Go.
I love Jerry's ineffectual. Oh no, don't do that. I love it.
To his credit though, he could have gone stop, and got like he just waited and then did his thing. So a little bit of credit.
It's what I like about the parliamentary TV footage is that it does focus on Brownlee's discomfort and just, there's no way I'm going to win this. Oh no. It's got away from me. Oh no.
Yeah. I'll have to wait now.
The Stuff footage that is mentioned in the chat, which of course you can find on Stuff and YouTube, Stuff's channel on YouTube, does focus more on the haka itself, how it was right in front of David Seymour.
Yeah.
How I think it was Hannah, or maybe it was Debbie, that threw their copy of the bill at
Hannah ripped it in half.
Hannah ripped it in half. The photos that have come out of this are phenomenal, and I do like every time Hannah comes to the front, I am impressed by it.
Yeah,
you know, look, her age is part of it, but the other part of it is it is authentic.
Yep,
it is righteous, and the word that is in the front of my mind in moments like this. When she spoke to Winston and told him to pull his head in, the same word, formidable.
Yep.
Is a formidable woman.
Yep. I think what we'll do is I think might watch the TVNZ news story, but people are right. Stuff or 3 had a better camera angle. So we'll just go watch it again. Watch it from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Just the haka. So we can see the actually happen, because the thing that, like you're saying, Chewy, one of the things that's most interesting is David Seymour's here, if you're watching, and Debbie Ngaruapaka's there, and Rawiri's there, and Hannah's there, and Debbie and Rawiri end up being here, and Hannah ends up being here, and there's David Seymour. So let's just have a look at this, and then might go and watch the One News, the whole story. One News has a really good segment on what the principles, how the principles have been put in place now, up till now, versus what Seymour wants to do, and it's good to see actually. Here we go.
Wasn't as easy as that as the House came to cast their votes. The youngest MP in the House, haka, tearing the bill in two and throwing it on the ground. Speaker suspending proceedings, halting the vote.
The House is suspended until the ringing of the bells. The gallery is to be cleared.
Eventually, the bill passed.
The ayes are 68, the noes are 55.
Fair to say, not without incident.
There you go. So that's the bit that was mentioned on Stuff. I did watch that clip as well, and sorry, do you hate it when you forget someone's name? I heard the reporter's name just jumped out of my head. Someone will tell us straight away. Old mate, let's call it old mate, said that they'd done some research, and the last time they could find the House being cleared by a speaker is in the 70s. Yeah, it's a pretty rare occasion for it to be cleared like that. Anywho, Jenna Lynch, thank you very much, chat. My old brain is old.
Yeah.
Shall we? Sorry, you go, bro.
I was just going to say one thing. I have and I think we have all been 100% immersed in an echo chamber here. We all think this is phenomenal. Okay, I jumped on Blue Sky today, and when I got home, and everybody's just going ballistic, retweeting the footage and that sort of thing. Now, I want to temper this a little bit. You go other places. David Seymour's Facebook page, the New Zealand Herald comment section,
the
Daily
platform.
Mail. They are not as complimentary. And this is the battle that we are fighting.
Yep.
Is there are people that do not understand what happened here. There are people that do not understand why people are so angry. What's so wrong with equality?
Yeah.
It is our job to explain to people. And sometimes that's hard because we're really immersed in this, right? We're just repeating the same things over and over and over again. Why don't people understand this the way that we have? Because we've talked about it. We've listened to people. We've gone all of this. And so it becomes very easy to hit the straightaway racist, fascist button when sometimes people just don't understand it.
Ignorant.
And I don't mean that in the if I said the willfully ignorant,
yep,
then yeah, I'm a step away from calling you a racist. But there are people that are genuinely ignorant.
Yep.
They're not up with the plate. They don't know why there was a protest at Te Papa the other year. They don't know why people are so angry at something that on its face value, David Seymour wants everyone to see it's all about equality. So that is the fight that we have to take to people to go, well, actually, no, these are really, like, if you want to genuinely talk about this is the issue. Because if David Seymour gets his way and it does go to public submission and it does head towards citizens-initiated referendum, we need to take as many people with us as possible. And sometimes that's really hard because a lot of us will be online warriors who love a scrap. And in that, there are people just trying to find their way, and they're stuck in the middle between two entrenched positions just fighting.
Yeah.
So friendly fire isn't good for our movement.
In saying that, I think Seymour knows, like Seymour was talking on one of the news shows in the last few days, and he got asked about having it as basically a conscience vote. And he admitted, he said no, because it might not go through. So actually, if he says within Parliament it probably wouldn't go through today, then maybe they're also aware that within society it wouldn't go through. I don't know. I'm just saying it may not be as cut and dry as getting to a referendum and then it's trouble. It might get to a referendum and then be completely voted down in a way as well. Hey, we've got tons of super chats and we've got one of the biggest audiences we've ever had right now. We're up over 1,000 live viewers. Yeah.
Wow.
So welcome, Fano, if you haven't been with us before. This is the time where I'd normally do a pitch for Patreon, but I won't, not today.
What I will say is, my name is Chewy. I do this 4 days a week. Thanks, newsroom. That's BHN, Big Hairy News, 4 nights a week.
Brownlee pulled a brash. You can call him a racist, but not a liar, says Mr. Arvids. Brian Turner, Willie, a true leader, so proud of him. Rajan, who knew Parliament on Demand uploaded cucking fits?
It's one of those ones you need to put it up on Pornhub where like 21-year-old woman bangs all of these guys. I don't know.
Māori film. Most of the whānau got given the red card. Thank you for all your super chats, by the way. Hohen, Angel, bunch of new names in here as well. Welcome, guys. It's identical to our anti-corruption measures. Following the rules is more important than what they are meant to stop. Compare Michael Wood to Casey, Philip, Morris, Costello. It's total BS. Yeah. The other thing, that we should have, I should have brought up is when we were talking to Moana Maniapoto last week, and she just said this thing just in passing, and I said in the moment, that's fucking rough, bro. She said that to this government, their coalition document, their coalition agreement, rates more highly than our founding document. I was like, that's rough. But probably true as well. Peter says Martin Luther King Jr. never let the rules bother him. It was a letter from a Birmingham hotel. NZ Random, Brownlee is a 7.2 on the sphincter scale. You're not supposed to be funny with us. JC and the Pigeon Cat, thank you for your super chats, by the way. The stupid little rules in Parliament are a tool of oppression. We are here at the grace of the rangatira who signed Te Tiriti, Toitu Te Tiriti. There you go. And the battle haka. So we'll do that. Let's do this. I'm kind of going to go in reverse now because you were just talking about, what we need to do and what we need to. So let's have a little bit of a look. One news did a bit of it was Katie Bradford, I think, did a bit on the difference between, because we do have principles. This is one of the lies. There are principles. They've been around since 75, I think, and how those principles are being treated right now and what Seymour is trying to do. So let's have a look.
What does the bill actually propose? And crucially, what are some of the differences between it and the current treaty principles? Katie Bradford takes a look.
The concept of treaty principles was introduced in the Treaty of Waitangi Act 1975. Through the years, it has developed through various case law and pieces of legislation. Crucially, there are no principles that have been expressly defined or set out in law. That's what David Seymour says he is trying to do. Let's compare the current main three principles with the bill before Parliament. On partnership, the treaty created a relationship between Māori and the Crown, and both parties must act with the utmost good faith. The new Principle 1 states the government has full power to govern and Parliament has the full power to make laws in the best interests of everyone. The second...
So, it actually cuts out. Both parties must act with the utmost good faith. It's about Māori and Crown relationships. And he goes to straight, almost authoritarian. The government has full power to govern, Parliament has full power to make laws. Nothing at all about the relationship. So actually, in the first partnership change, he's cut Māori out of the principle whatsoever. Gone. Are we seeing it yet? Are we seeing it yet, people?
When we're doing the conversation with people that aren't getting it, that is one to hammer. And there is a reason why David Seymour will prefer to talk about Article 2. I think it's Article 2. It's definitely not Article 1. He doesn't want to talk about that one.
So here's the next one.
Best interests of everyone. The second current principle addresses participation. At present, the Crown is to provide tangata whenua with the opportunity to engage with the decision-making processes at all levels. Proposed Principle 2, the Crown recognises and respects and protects the rights Hapu and Iwi had when they signed Te Tiriti. Those rights differ from the rights everyone has, only when they are specified in legislation.
There you go. Chewy, you want to speak to it?
Bye-bye rights. Bye-bye special relationship. Just gone.
Opportunities to engage with decision-making process at all levels. Now, remember, people who don't get it, and look, I'd be honest, I don't get it as much as people we talk to, right? Can often be the dumbest people in the room. We're probably in the top 1,040 dumbest people in the room right now. There might be a couple that are dumber, but, maybe. Is that this is a contractual agreement between two parties, right? Crown, government, and Māori. That's it. So this is why when Chewy said before, this is not about race. This is not a treaty between two races. This is a treaty between the people who own the land, the people who were here. Think of a subdivision, right? The people who are there and the people who wanted to come in there. That's what it's about. Yes, the people who are here happen to be Māori, but that's like, I said this the other day, I've got neighbours who are Japanese New Zealanders. When they sign up with their mortgage, that's not an agreement based on race, because they happen to be Japanese and the person at the bank happens to be a Pākehā. It's just an agreement between two parties, right? So because this agreement between two parties includes Māori, then there's a contractual agreement for this principle to happen. Like, they're a part of the relationship. And just remember, it took until 1860 before Europeans outnumbered Māori. And up until then, it was running, like Māori had the same, they had all these, and then once Europeans got the majority, then all of a sudden things started to change.
And look, this is one of the key things for me. I see no problem with Māori being involved in the decision-making process at all levels, because Māori exist in New Zealand society. So why shouldn't they be? This is the one that they get real tied up over, like, oh, it's anti-democratic to have like a seat on the council table, one seat on the council table. But look at what's happened to the natural resources of this country when we cut Māori out. We can't swim in our rivers. Our water table's fucked. We're strip mining forests. We're losing species. We've tried cutting Māori out and it's not working.
And remember this word at the beginning is really important. Opportunity to engage. Doesn't mean they get the casting vote. Doesn't mean they're going to be sitting at the big table. Doesn't mean they're in charge. It means when there are decisions made, we are going to talk to this group of people who are a part of the agreement to the founding document. It's an opportunity to engage. It actually doesn't even mean engage. Chewie, if I give you an opportunity to come out on Friday night to wolf, doesn't mean you're going to come, but the opportunity is there. So even that is not that kind of Nazi-ish. It's not like they are. It's like there's an opportunity to engage. And that's going to, oh, where's my little thing gone?
And protects the rights Hapu and Iwi had when they signed Te Tiriti. Those rights differ from...
And the problem with that, the rights when they signed the treaty, is David Seymour thinks the treaty reads differently to what the experts think. So what David Seymour says, we're going to protect everything that was said when the treaty was signed, and what he says it was doesn't appear to be anything like what the experts say it said. And he still, remember, has not provided for us who are the people advising him, who are the experts, who are the historians, who are the academics, who are the people who can talk about the exegesis and the hermeneutics of language now versus language. He hasn't told us about any of that stuff. So as far as we know, this could all just be coming from David Seymour's headspace. Could be, because we don't know any different.
He's not an expert in the language. He's not got any qualification in history or law. He's an engineer, nominally an engineer. Yep. So the people that are advising him and what they're telling him, that might be really important. We don't need to know, apparently.
And remember where it says there, rights differ only when they are specified in legislation. I can't remember the exact number. I was going to say 81, but it might be 18. If these principles were taken on board, there would be the reference to the treaty would be taken out of a huge number of legislation as it sits right now. So rights differ only when they are specified in legislation, whilst we remove aspects of the treaty from a whole bunch of legislation, so rights won't be specified. Number 2, let's have a look at number 3.
The rights everyone has, only when they are specified in legislation, treaty settlements or other agreements with the Crown. Principle 3 addresses protection. The existing understanding is that the government prioritises the active protection of Māori interests, rights, taonga and rangatiratanga. The new proposed Principle 3 states everyone is equal before the law and entitled to equal protection and benefit.
So this is the exact thing that that we're being told. The experts are telling us. The experts are speaking out, saying this is about this part number 3 is about one of the signatories to that document, to that contract, and they do have certain rights because they signed the contract. Just like I have certain rights in my house because I signed a contract with my bank, you can't come onto my property and force your land rights onto me because I already have an agreement signed, sealed, and delivered. Stevie Wonder, and that changes from one of the original signatories has these things that they've signed up to everyone's the same. So that subdivision example basically says the subdivision is full bar one property, that last property is sold, and that person has as much right to change everything in all of those properties as the people who are already there and who have set up the community. That's one of the biggest problems. It's basically saying that when the treaty was signed, this is David Seymour, I'm paraphrasing, when the treaty was signed, it referenced all New Zealanders equally, and the counterpoint is, it referenced the signatories, the Crown and Māori, not all New Zealanders, not the dude who lands on the plane tomorrow morning and becomes a citizen in 12 months from now. Doesn't reference that person. Chewie.
I think the other thing that gets left out of this discussion of all New Zealanders, right, at the time that this treaty was signed, a New Zealander was a Māori.
Yeah.
That's how they were referred to. British colonists were referred to as British. So when he's talking about all New Zealanders, well, if you want to wind back to what it meant at the time of the signing of the treaty, then we're talking about Māori. That's an uncomfortable truth that he will not acknowledge.
Yeah.
I saw something today that I thought, like, we're talking about the people that we want to bring with us on this and understanding what the principles are. I found this gem in the most unlikely place, Pat.
Yeah.
In the stuff comment section.
Oh dear.
I know. It's like pulling a gold nugget out of a sewage settling pond. But I found it. And I've made it very, very small.
It's very, very small.
There we go. Contract law. Imagine you own some land. You lease out the land to some tenants with a contract that states you still own the land, but they get the right to sublet the land out. The tenants of that land, as well as the people they lease the land to, now decide that they want to vote on what that contract actually means.
Exactly.
I.e., did they really lease the land, or did they mean to buy the land? You as the landowner have no vote in this matter, and that's pretty much what ACT want to do.
I think that's called a mic drop, isn't it? That's what the kids say.
It's a pretty concise sum up, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. No, I like that. All right, let's get to some chats because people we want to mention some of these chats, and then we're going to play the One News, because one of the things that One News did well tonight was they also showed some of the people, the MPs, speaking in the, like, after they left the house, like in the crossover area, and that might be good to hear as well. But let's get to some more of these chats. Intriguing. Hello. I've really been enjoying your content. Given David Seymour wants to democratise this so much, do you know when public submissions open? Well, that'll be very shortly because it's now been its first reading, and that's the next part. And look, I have noticed your name in our chat before. Welcome if you're a newbie, but stick with us. As soon as we know, you'll know. Simple as that. Ian says, Tangata Whenua acted antithetically to UK and her citizens. Māori saw a plentiful land and chose to welcome and share. Yeah, I'll take I don't want to tangent too many times, but well, even the idea of co-governance, yeah? Co-governance originally was actually allowing Europeans to the table. And now people are like, oh, we don't allow Māori to the table, because that's what everyone thinks co-governance is. No, you think, once again, 160,000 Māori, 4,000 Europeans. Co-governance was, you can come and govern with us. And then in that 1960s and beyond, when Europeans became the bigger group, or bigger slice of the pie, all of a sudden co-governance didn't look quite so good. Looked great when you were the minority by 1 to 40. When you become the majority, all of a sudden you don't want to share. Chloe used that quote today, Chewie. Remember we were talking about the T-shirt we sold to the film festival last night? We were thinking what it was. It was to those who are privileged.
Oh, correct.
Equality feels like oppression. We did that T-shirt. That was what it was. It was one of those. And then she started her speech with that today.
I think one of the things that goes hand in hand of the fact the big part of this issue was co-governance.
Yep.
And the fact that we were sort of going, well, let's give this a go. And that is kind of turbocharged what Seymour's wanted to do. And I think a big aspect of this, do you remember a few years back, we gave legal, like, personhood or legal entity to a river?
Mm-hmm.
And that was reported worldwide as like a big thing, but that was part of treaty negotiations that we were giving legal representation to a river. Now, for people that make their money out of harvesting resources, the idea of giving a body of water legal representation, maybe that could be a forest or a mountain. Sent absolute shivers through those organizations that make money out of those things.
Yeah.
And I think when you add in Atlas's interest into these things and how common that feeling that a river or a mountain or a forest is a thing, an ancestor, a totem, a god in various indigenous cultures, that blueprint is not welcome. So maybe that's a big part of where Atlas is hard on for getting rid of Indigenous rights is coming from.
Gotcha. I mean, so I don't mean to minimize it, but doesn't it just speak to the first Avatar movie? You know what I mean? Just like, doesn't it just speak to
the reason why it's universal?
Sacred tree and yeah. Anyway, some more chats and then we'll get on to the last part of what we're going to talk about tonight. Seymour engineered a fucking shitstorm, all right. I see what we did there, engineered. Ken says, amazing feeling of unity at the hikoi today in Kirikiriroa. Luxon has made a huge mistake by allowing Seymour to stoke division. Yep, but you got to make sure you include Luxon in that. He is also stoking the division. Don't let him off. Seymour should sit down and say less. The kupapa. Kiwi Bird Act wants to give chieftainship to corporations. Yeah. Well, corporations can now vote as well. You know, in America, what was that one? Corporations are people, and they therefore can spend money on getting people elected. David, yeah. I don't speak Māori, but I'll give it a go. Koe te awa, ko te awa, ko au. I butchered that. I know I butchered that. I do like the phonetical nature of Māori, but yeah. Apologies in advance. Okay, let's do this last bit. And this is almost probably the thing we should have done first, which is the actual events happening in the House. But this is the sliced together One News bits and pieces, and hearing from some of the politicians after they got all relieved of their duties in the debate chamber as well.
Chaotic and unprecedented scenes erupted in Parliament today as MPs voted on the controversial Treaty Principles Bill. The Speaker suspending Parliament after Te Pāti Māori and the public gallery interrupted the vote with a haka. It's now just past its first reading. This followed fiery and emotional scenes as politicians debated the bill for the first time. An MP even got kicked out while the labels liar, disgrace and KKK were hurled at the ACT Party. We begin tonight with senior political editor Benedict Collins.
Parliament boiling over with rage.
That is a fantastic, like the Jerry Browner just going,
oh no,
knowing he can't do anything about it.
Parliament boiling over with rage. The Speaker taking drastic action.
The House is suspended until the ringing of the bells.
But pressure had been building all afternoon as the government's Treaty Principles Bill came before the House.
The bill does not extinguish...
Was she saying, do you want to go out? What was Chloe saying there? It's like she was saying, it's like she was almost going, do you want to go outside? Should we take this outside? I mean, honestly, it's like, do you want to go out? Let's do this again. Lip read, people. Lip read.
As the government's Treaty Principles Bill came before the House.
The bill does not extinguish any right, it does not take from anyone, it reinforces the rights of the treaty as universal.
David Seymour says the current approach to treaty principles isn't working.
What all of these principles have in common is that they afford Māori different rights.
Chewy, I need you to withdraw and apologise or you're going to be removed from the podcast.
No.
Okay.
No, you can withdraw and apologise to D's nuts.
Oh, that's so childish. Apologise and withdraw D's nuts, Mr. Seymour.
No, from other New Zealanders.
But the rebuttal came fast and furious.
Shame on you, David Seymour. Ngāti Rehia will be ashamed that one of their sons has come up with a political stunt that looks to divide the nation. How dare you, David Seymour? You should be ashamed of yourself, and you are a liar.
Apologise for that last statement.
No, I can't do that.
Nah.
Going to have to ask the member to withdraw himself from the House for the rest of the afternoon.
Willie Jackson sin-binned, but unapologetic.
I think he's a disgrace.
Back inside, the temperature was rising.
Are you here to hold on to power at any cost?
Yep.
Or are you here to do the right thing?
ACT are seen to be pulling the strings and running the country, like the KKK with a swipe card to the beehive.
The vote, the final straw.
New Zealand National.
49 votes in favour.
ACT New Zealand.
11 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
8 votes in favour.
Sparking the haka. Te Pāti Māori, unrepentant.
This is all that I know, is to be Māori, and we didn't get the opportunity to challenge the bill as much as we would have liked to.
You can't have...
Yeah. How's that for a line? Do you notice there as well? Watch Debbie in the front row. She kind of, I don't know whether they're going to do it, but she's kind of like, come on, Darwin, let's go out in front. She gives him a little push. May not be, he might have been going out anyway, but really interesting just to watch Debbie kind of, this is what we're doing now. And then Hannah, basically saying, I was being Māori. This is what Māori do. You watch down the bottom.
Sparking the haka.
Yeah, here we go. You watch, see, look, little push.
Māori, unrepentant.
This is all that I know, is to be Māori, and we didn't get the opportunity to challenge the bill as much as we would have liked to.
You can't have very good arguments if you have to do that. If you've got a good argument and you can persuade people, you don't need to get up in their face. I think particularly making gun gestures and saying kino, that's the kind of people we're dealing with.
Hang on, was that Nicole McKee behind him? He said the.
Yeah, she got all excited when he said
got
gun.
excited because he said the word gun. I mean, maybe she was like, oh
David.
No, not my time. Not my time.
David, pull out an atlas. Sorry, the other atlas.
No, not that atlas. Put that one away. We know about that one, the one that you don't know about that you do know. But yeah, okay. Yes, go, Joe.
All secret. What country do you live in? That's what I want to know. Like, this is part of the expression of the culture of this country. Like, one of the arguments that I had today is that the parliament is a somewhat sacred place for the debating of ideas, and it's not the place for performative dance. And I just wanted I did want to, so I did. I told the guy that was showing his entire ass and showing his ignorance for not understanding what a haka is, what it is for. It's not performative dance. No one doing modern jazz and tap.
No, and you know, we'll have a few internationals watching us, because since we've done a few things with a few American podcasters recently, just to let you know, the haka here, I don't know. I find the haka more of an emotional thing than the national anthem. Like, I know I'm referencing sports ball, but I don't necessarily always watch the national anthem on the start of the All Blacks games, but I watch the haka. And that today was like, if you don't know what it is, Google like haka teacher's funeral or haka wedding, and it's everything from a challenge to to honoring someone to, you know, it's just and so when Seymour says that you shouldn't need to do that kind of thing, yeah, like you're saying, what country are you in? Haka means so much to so many people. It's actually exactly what you should do in this country. Chewy.
And this is my point when I was talking about the Westminster style. This is not the place for this. We express ourselves in this particular way, which is the same particular way that they do on the other side of the planet that they have done for hundreds of years. This is not the place for this. David, I disagree.
Yeah.
This is the highest level of government in this country. And that's why I say you need to pull out your atlas and work out where you are. You're not in London. You're not in London. You're in New Zealand. And a haka is an expression of extreme emotion. And when you are trying to fit that into someone else's cultural parliamentary processes, I think there needs to be an outlet. There needs to be a way of, like, this railroaded debate about whether the treaty means something to modern New Zealand. That makes my blood boil. My reaction to seeing this happen in the House today was of extreme pride. This could happen nowhere else.
Yeah.
This treaty that we're debating happened nowhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Every other colonial country was a bloodbath in one way or another, and New Zealand narrowly escaped it with some pretty ugly scars along the way. And now you're wanting to wash your hands of the document that got us this far? Fuck you, David Seymour. You're a liar. I will take someone like Hannah every day of the week over this poorly laundered, hardly dried suit that wants to get all pearl clutchy about someone doing a haka in his general direction. Fuck you, David Seymour. You still won't come on the show, so I don't feel like I need to moderate what I'm saying here.
Maybe I'll message him again this weekend. I'll drop him an email. Just for people who don't know, I mean, there's going to be some watching who think, oh, look at this lefty echo chamber. We ask, they don't come. Right.
You talked about the international side of this, right? We might have people from overseas watching what's going on. Look, I did notice this as this spread through Blue Sky. As a lot of Americans have come onto Blue Sky.
Yep.
They're running from Twitter like it's a burning ship.
Yep.
And they're like, can you guys explain what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction has been pretty universal of like, so this is an out of order reaction to, like, it's an anti-racism protest sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, it's a cultural expression of emotion towards this. And they're like, this is the most incredible thing I have ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the cultural cringe here, like, this is what he wants. He doesn't want to see this. We want to stick within the staid, boring procedures of Parliament. But for the guys that have just had an election over in the States, which was a fight for years between two decrepit old white men, and then to see a woman of color get defeated by an incompetent, sexual abuser, decrepit old white man, to see a 21-year-old woman get up and set the house on fire tonight.
Yep.
How refreshing would that be?
Yep. All right. Let's let the liar continue for a sec.
Making gun gestures and saying kino. That's the kind of people we're dealing with.
Throughout it all, the Prime Minister was absent, heading overseas. It didn't go unnoticed.
Because there's a cowardly behaviour. There's absolutely no balls.
What do you say to people who think it's a bit cowardly that you're not here for the first reading today?
Look, APEC has been locked into the calendar. It's a really important event for New Zealand.
But with the hikoi on its way to Parliament, the Prime Minister will have plenty more music to face.
Yeah. So, look, it's interesting, actually. I'd like to know when the first APEC event starts, because I guarantee, even if he had left at 3 this afternoon, he could have done something. So there's an element there that he chose not to. Look, if APEC, he literally got on a plane, he got off the plane and went to the first event, okay, I'll give him a break. I mean, we can still have the conversation that they actually, plan to do it on Thursday because of that. You're about to tell me something, aren't you?
It started on Sunday.
Sunday just gone?
Yeah, Sunday the 10th of November to Saturday 16th of November.
So
he's late.
You sure that's not like last year's one? All right. I don't know. Yeah, I still think if he had filmed himself in the house, he could have then claimed he was in New Zealand like Te Puke all over again. Hey team, this feels like it's the kind of conversation that could keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. Like tonight, we are going to need to find a place to say goodnight to you all. It's lovely having, such a large, this is probably our largest live audience. If you're a newbie, thanks for joining in. If you're not, welcome back. We are a little podcast that runs independently. We do also, just as a reminder, have a new Friday night show starting up with the Friday Night Kids. Magenta and Emily will be on, so there'll be another live show tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with Magenta and Emily. Emily and Magenta and Emily. Do we have a... No? Okay.
Oh, let's then fight that out.
Okay. And then we're back on Monday night from 9 p.m. and it sounds like we've got Eru Kapakingi. Although these guys are real busy. Deb Narawa Packer said she'd come on tonight, but no problems that obviously she was driving to the hikoi, Chewy. She was going to be, so she was in transit. So no issues there whatsoever. I think that hopefully we provided, we're just a couple of dumb Pākehā from Dunedin, but hopefully using other people's far more knowledgeable words and offerings, this has been a show that you've been able to get something off. Actually, we've got super chats. We'll do these as well. I've got to get rid of that dog. Or else this looks all funny framing. There we go. It's just like Avatar, kind of like James Cameron was trying to warn people.
One of the things about that is James Cameron spends a lot of time in New Zealand, and I wonder if that factors in.
He lives, it's called the Ngāvi, eh? The Ngāvi language is supposed to be modelled on Māori. So that's what they say. Number of undies seen on clotheslines in Welly. Brian Turner. I'm lost with that comment, but thanks for the super chat. I don't know if you know this, but I hear Someone had to. But I hear David Seymour is an example of one of the worst people in the world. Steve says they can have their blankets back and fuck off home. Shayad says you brought this up, Chewy. They forgot to show Rawiri saying see you next Tuesday, ha 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 ha, which is both appropriate for the spelling, but also Tuesday is when the hikoi turns up.
Also,
with so many it's comedy on so many levels.
It's a real slow burn. Sort of along with that, I'm not an expert lip reader, but I'm pretty sure that Karen Jaw said something like "fuck off" or "fuck you" as they walked out of the house. There was definitely an exchange of words between her and Debbie on the way out that looked not exactly parliamentary.
Yeah, I wonder if she'll get held in contempt as well by Mr. Brownlee. However, the tropes come thick and fast, divide, disturb. Nats are total cucks to Seymour's Atlas messaging. Brown, queer, poor, disabled, favourite targets. It's always a bit scary when you haven't read a text before you put it up. When you start reading, you go, where are we? Oh, okay, this is fine. Where are we going? Oh, okay, that's fine. Where are we going with this? And also from Rajan, a daily reminder, David Seymour is the worst human being. Hey, team, it hasn't been a great show. The subject matter has been awful, but I'm glad that we were able to go through the subject matter with you. If you are a new person to this, then feel free to stick around, come back, come see us again. We put out content every single day of the week. Monday to Friday, there is a live stream every night at 9 o'clock, and we always go for 60 minutes. That finishes about 10:30. That's our 60-minute show, world famous 60-minute, 90-minute show. If you want to tell other people about us and support us in that way, that'd be amazing. Through the weekend on Twitter and on YouTube, there are a bunch of shorter clips that come out, so you get more content there as well. There is an audio podcast that you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify to have a listen to.
Podcast. Awards.
Yeah.
Podcast award.
If you want to support the podcast award, look in the description of this video, and there's a way you can do that because we have people who like us, and we never get anything other than viewers awards because I refuse to participate and send them MP3s. I always send them MP4s because we're a video podcast. I think that's why we don't get anywhere. So yeah, it's great to have you on board. And if you are someone who wants to support us through our Patreon, patreon.com/Big Hairy News, we'll do a meetup next week. So for new people, we do a meetup at least once a month, and it's online, so anyone from anywhere in the world can get access to it. Patreon.com/Big Hairy News. If you like what you're seeing and you want to be a part of us and you want to help us, keep the lights on, as they say, muchly appreciated. I'm about to play. Oh, and if you become a patron, you also become a part of the show every single night because we credit you in our credits. Normally, Chewy, I just throw to the credits and we let it start playing. But because we're, we've been talking up a storm tonight, is there anything you want to add in before I fire off those credits?
Please allow me my end of week tangent. That sure. I have that footage that I was talking about of unparliamentary behaviour in Ireland.
The frottage. Yeah, sure. Whatever.
It's very good.
I respected your sincerity. I'd ask you respect mine. Well, all due respect in the most unparliamentary language. Fuck you, Deputy Stagg. Fuck you. I apologise now for my use of unparliamentary language.
That is most unparliamentary language.
It is most unparliamentary language. And I now withdraw it and apologise for it. But I'm outraged that someone dares question my sincerity on this issue. I don't like what has to be done, but I'm going to take the responsibility and get it on the chin and get the unpopularity and lose my seat because it's the only thing we can do to get this country out of the state we're in. I firmly believe that.
Deputy Costello.
I firmly believe that. And you respect my view. I didn't cause the economic mess. I didn't take money from developers or leave the. I didn't.
Deputy
That's the point. The point is. We are screwed. The point is we are screwed as a country because of the wrongdoing of others. I respected your.
Very good.
I love that.
I see what you did there.
If you're going to get thrown out of Parliament, go all out.
Yep. Go hard or go home. That's very good, actually. I like that quite a lot. Quite a lot. Alrighty, that's it for us for tonight, team. Remember, 9 o'clock tomorrow night, another live show with Emily and Magenta. They'll be here taking you through, I'm sure, some more fallout about what happened in the House today and more. That's it for me, Chewy. We'll catch you all Monday night from 9 p.m. And have a good and great weekend, Whānau. Chewy?
Yeah, that's all from me. Facebook's just reminded me it's been 8 years since the Kaikoura earthquake.
Today. It's a anniversary, isn't it? Yep. Very good. All right, team. Be safe. Hug a loved one, and don't be afraid to share what you learn and educate people in your circle as to why these lying fuckers are trying to steal from New Zealand what rightfully belongs to New Zealand. And I mean steal from New Zealand because the treaty is for all of us. So that's what I wanted to say. Chewy, mate. I'll say good night. Hooroo, you'll say?
What do I usually say?
Cheers, fam. Cheers, fam.
Atiwa.
Catch team. Hooroo.
Oh, sleepy puppy. Sleepy puppy.